Very good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the Tariff Roadshow. We're here again, and we've got Trump posting on Truth Social. We've got Bessent speaking. We've had Fed speaker. So it's all been go. Right, how's everyone doing? It's another wild market out there, folks. So let's get stuck into the session. It's tariff news once again, absolutely dominating headlines. And the market's just desperate for some good news that tariffs are going to be delayed, postponed, that deals are going to be done, and it's strong headline trading. Anything that gives an indication that tariffs are going to be deals done is what's making markets just move strongly higher. Fed's Kashkari has said no monetary policy response up or down should be off the table now. So Kashkari is really, saying that that's opening the door to interest rates. That's that last little surge we've seen in the market here on Kashkari's comments. Up and then price moved back to the VWAP and then trying to push high. You can see here, you've actually got buyers trapping those sellers there. That will just give a quick reason for me to enter a quick long there. Just a quick one. You see that you've got those buyers trapping those sellers on that news. So just taking a quick run higher, see if we can get a quick move up into that session, see if we can just take out these highs. That would be good, just as before we come into the open. Oh, nice.
And just note, nice. Treasury Secretary Bessent has concluded his Q&A at the ABA.
So you can see that that's trying to move up into that next section. Let's see if we can just break above it. Just entered there. You can see a little micro position. Just see if we can run up to that top area here. There we go. Lovely. See how far we can run up. Nice, just taking profit up against that obvious area there. Lovely. Okay. Yeah, I've done exactly the same. Just hitting that standard deviation, just an obvious area. And you got that value area high that we're heading into. So just nice little instance you see there. Buying,
just note on those EU
sellers trapped.
First will be imposed against the US on 15th of April. Commission says it has secured backing from EU countries for first countermeasures. Right,
that's lovely. Okay, right. So I've noticed these sellers trapped down here on the 15, and we're trying to trap these sellers here on the 15. And if we can push above this value area from the previous day, not yesterday, the day before, that would be important. See if buyers can take this higher. We're in this kind of very kind of sensitive market right now. Things on the calendar to look for, obviously scheduled headlines and unscheduled headlines are really going to move the market. So, really got to keep our ears and eyes open there. Just very unusual trading conditions going on at the moment. For today, Barkin at 5:30 and a 10-year bond auction. It'd be interesting to see what the demand is in FOMC minutes. They're pretty irrelevant now with all these tariffs going on. And part of the problem at the moment is that calendar trading becomes almost not worth it, but almost irrelevant because markets are responding to tariff news. They're not responding to just small data points or even inflation data at the moment. Is just taking a backseat to these tariff concerns. So technically looking at the market, we can see that the hourly chart shows that inventory has been negative, but we're in the process of getting these buyers trapped. We've moved down into a value area low for the week, right? Big area. And we've got this point of control around that 5,020 area, which we just hit actually. Good morning, Anthony. Really good to see you. Missed you the last few days. And I'm sorry you turned up when I was, I had to take my car to the garage and had to finish a bit early. So sorry to have missed you on that day and had an appointment yesterday. So I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're managing these markets all right. And right, there we go. So point of control, just moving up into sellers here and here. We want to see if we can trap those on the hourly chart. That's going to be important. Oh, well done, Anthony. That's great stuff. Well done. It's been pretty hairy with the volatility, right? Wow. Looking at these sellers here are going to be important.
Just making you aware of a post next from Treasury Secretary Bessent.
So keep an eye on.
Just noting that President Trump is committed to cutting off the flow of these deadly drugs into America. We're talking about fentanyl, with Mexico and China identified as two of the worst perpetrators, according to their analysis.
Right, okay. Right, we've now hit another value area, so it's kind of a reset mode. Inventory is negative for the session. Oh no, that's Anthony, that's terrible. Good morning, Brett. Killed. That's awful. Was that Why was it? That is awful. I'm so sorry, Anthony. Oh, Anthony. That is awful. Was he involved in any sort of criminal activity that made him an attractive person to kidnap? Was there anything to do? Was he sort of living like that sort of lifestyle, or was it a complete shock? Oh my dear, that's awful. Shot him. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, that is awful. I wondered why you hadn't been like around, and I know you were a little bit unwell. I just assumed like had some other stuff on. I'm sorry you were going through that. That's awful. It really is. Do you feel safe where you're staying? Do you feel okay? Like, or are you thinking of moving? That is dreadful. That's unbelievable. That is so bad. Yeah, that is absolutely terrible. Unbelievable. So sorry, Anthony, for you. You're obviously your neighbour, and for you having to live near that, and that's a terrible thing. Sorry, folks, with just a bit of sad news, so we just had to take a moment for that. Is that like the way of God or God's will? Otro dia. Another day. Another day. Well, from the sorrowful to the ridiculous with Trump's tariffs. We got another 15-minute candle looking like it's closing, and we just want to see if we get any of these sellers trapped. If we do, then we can start to look for pullbacks into this area for buyers. We've had this move off this area. Najam and I have just taken profit. Sellers trapped up, and now you've got sellers redominating, trapping those breakout buyers, and now looking to move lower, right? So that's what's going on there on the 15-minute chart. You can see that wick. Now we want to see, do buyers still manage to trap some of these sellers and make a case for further gains, right? If they do, then this area, not this area, sorry, then this area will become super important for buying, and we can start to look for opportunities on the 1-minute chart, the 5-minute chart to go long. Okay. And China have like come back as well. They've retaliated in a tit for tat move. So 104% tariffs on China, and China have retaliated tit for tat. So it's just brutal out there at the moment. Market is completely focused on these tariff headlines. Right, so there we go. We've now got this 15-minute candle. Let's see, has it just been able to trap them? I think it has just. Right, it's just been able to trap these sellers here, right? So buyers have just about still got it. So what we want to see is, do we see any sellers get trapped, particularly in this region here, right? So you can expect buyers off the daily VWAP, right? With those sellers being trapped, if we move down to the daily VWAP, you can expect buyers, right? At the 4967, something like that. And then also look to see if we start getting sellers trapped on the 1-minute, and you might get another test of these value area highs. So have a look here. You've got buyers trying to trap these sellers here. So if these sellers here get trapped, then we'll likely see another little attempt at a leg higher potentially, but these sellers have trapped these buyers. So I think sellers still have it for now. And I'll be looking for moves for around that 4960 region for potential dip buyers. So if you see a move back down to here, expect dip buyers at the 4966, and I'd have stops just underneath 4950. So if I get a move down here before the open at the 4966, I'm happy to buy into that. Okay, and just see if I can get a little bounce on that. So that's 4966, right, with the stops at the 4950. So I just got that order in. Okay, so if I move back down to there, I'm expecting buyers. Let's have a look on the 1-minute. Okay, buyers taking out these sellers. So again, this is appropriate. You've got 15-minute trapped. Remember, you've got 15-minute trapped sellers here. You've got to pull back to that nose. You've got evidence of the 1-minute, so you can put an entry here, right, back into that 4989, right, because now buyers have the upper hand. So if this stays higher above these sellers, then look for a pullback to here, and I'd find a long acceptable. You may not even get that pullback. You see, it's just pushing up. There we go. So if you've got a pullback all the way back down to the 4990, then I expect to see buyers. Otherwise, this might just be the continuation. Let's see. Sellers trying to come in, because this is with these sellers here on volume trap those buyers. So they're still trapped. So a bit of two-way action. So you have tariffs into effect, 104% on China, and the White House said US Trump believes China has to and wants to make a deal with the US. Well, it's stated that if China makes a deal, Trump will be gracious. China released a white paper on US trade and economic relations, and what was seen as positive is that they were looking to strike a deal. Hey, Konstantinos. We carry on with tariff headlines dominating markets at the moment. Another thing that's influencing the markets is the prospect that Japan's government will do a deal with the US. That's seen as positive, and that's been lifting market sentiment, but has faded in recent trade. Just seeing if there's anything else obvious. No, this is the day that tariffs are coming to effect, essentially.
Just worth noting ahead of the opening bell, seeing a bit of upside in US equity futures, coming off some of those earlier lows, even the S&P back above that 5K handle.
Now back up into that value area high, so a crucial area. If we see a break above this area on the 5,000 region, that's an important area on the hourly chart. So that's a really important area to look at. Break above 5,000 on the hourly chart. And if we can break above the point of control, above the 50-21. So I'm going to put both of those levels as important levels out. So 5,000 is here, and the 50-21 is anything above here. So two very important levels for today. My projections are up, lower, up, bouncing in between value areas all day long. So I'm expecting price to move in between these value areas now. Fast moves. Target overhead is the 50-90 or the 50-100. That value area low here. And then we're up into this value area high. So it's this value area low here. Key resistance area. Break above that becomes support. We've got a decent support area where these trap sellers are down here at this value area low, which I'm going to make a little bit wider now. And you can see with that daily VWAP, that's a great support area that we've got there. Delta is still negative on the day, but positive on the New York open session. Let's see if we get a pullback here. So that's a fake out, that's a fake move higher. We need to see these buyers trapped to get some kind of confirmation of that. Point of control has now moved up.
Quick spot check across markets after the US cash equity open. I've seen upsides in the US equity futures from the earlier lows. Those stocks have been volatile. The futures now currently bids, with Nasdaq currently outperforming as Mag 7 stocks do catch a bid from the earlier downsides. Main focus does continue to be on trade, with China announcing that the additional 50% tariff on US goods, taking the overall rate to 84% in response to the additional US tariffs on China. Do note we are still awaiting Trump's response on this. Elsewhere, T-notes, they are lower across the curve today. Do have the 10-year auction later on, which does have a lot of attention on it after the week 3 offering yesterday. Crude prices continue to take a hit today.
On that, and if I get a pullback,
some of the
I'll enter another position at
seeing gold
that point of control.
$3,075 an ounce. In FX, intraday, they are outperforming while the dollar falls. Offshore yuan is bids. Did see reports that Chinese banks were seen selling dollars and buying yuan. And also commentary from China and reports that China is willing to step in to support the markets. And sources also suggested it will not rush to devalue its currency. Right,
obvious take profit area. We've got those buyers getting trapped now. Dripping over to the 15. Okay, we've had that false break. Look at the 15 now. Buyers have trapped sellers down here. So this area here, trap sellers. So big area for buying sits in this region. So looking for 1 minute guys to get trapped anywhere down here. And then we're gonna go long again. All right, okay, so we've had a little bounce off that area. Where's a key area here? So a little bit of move down to that point of control there. So I'm just gonna have a little exploratory buy there. Just bought off that. Just see what we can get, if anything, off it. I just bought in another position just up against that point of control. Let's see if that can hold. So there you got those trapped sellers. This is a good area for buying. All that value area hold. Let's have a look. All right, let's see if we get some sellers trapped. That will give some confirmation. Right, a bit of confirmation there. Lovely, just taking profit off that. Little bounce off that area made sense. Just check I've got all my Positions closed. They're all closed. Don't want to risk too much there. Nice, just.
So we're next up at the top of the hour. We'll be on the lookout for the wholesale sales data for February from the US and wholesale inventory revisions for February. The inventory revisions expected at 0.3% would be unchanged from the prior. No wholesale sales were previously, that's negative 1.5%.
Yeah, that was just a test of those trap sellers, wasn't it? Yeah, very nice area. Okay, folks, so close of a day today on April the 9th. P&L 754 down. The 3 accounts were around flat. 1 account was the maximum loss after a trading error of opening all the trades on 1 account rather than all 3 of the individual accounts. So that was the 08 account, and that was a hit of 666. The rest of the accounts are around flat for the day. Frustrating session. Was well up halfway through and then gave it all back. Again, just impatient trading. Took some good longs, particularly when we saw sellers getting trapped, moving higher, taking those longs against these trapped sellers. Have to be careful because the delta was moving negative, and then also was happy to go short when we got some buyers trapped against the point of control. So buyers trapped against the point of control, taking sells, then moving sells down here. Even on the 1 minute, we saw like big bunch of buyers, last trade of the day. Sellers just trapped them and just took them down to that 5,000 level, just taking profit off the 5,000. So tricky day for me today. We'll be back tomorrow, folks, and looking forward to seeing you all, and take care, everyone.